Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on, everybody? This is Joseph Conlon coming to you with your AEW Dynamite review on Wednesday, July 22nd, 2020. We had AEW Dynamite the week after Fight for the Fallen. We had a pretty fun lineup advertised for the show. And man, oh man, this was an awesome show tonight. I had such a blast watching the show. I had a baseball draft while I was watching, just to get ready for the baseball season starting tomorrow. Live tweeting during Excuse me, I just burped there. But live tweeting during Dynamite as always. Lots of good stuff on the show tonight, man. Lots of good stuff. We had Cody and the TNT Championship Open Challenge. Who's that answered by? That was answered by Eddie Kingston from NWA. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the great promo he cut and how great that match was against Cody. We had the Young Bucks versus the Butcher and the Blade in a Falls Count Anywhere match. This was my favorite thing on the show. This match was absolutely insane. This was an awesome Falls Count Anywhere match with the Young Bucks and the Butcher and the Blade. We'll talk about that. And then we got our main event. We had Chris Jericho and Jake Hager of the Inner Circle versus Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus. So tonight we're going to talk about it right here on the Big Fight Field channel, as we're in the AEW business tonight, baby. But if you guys have not checked out already, I need you guys to check out a few reviews. Number one, make sure you check out my Slammiversary review that I did on Saturday night, my Extreme Rules review that I did on Sunday, which is at 111 reviews. So I thank you guys for that so much. And my Monday Night Raw review, all right here on the Big Fight Field channel. But let's talk about Dynamite tonight, which started with the TNT Championship Open Challenge. We got on air. Cody and Arn Anderson were already in the ring, ready for the TNT Championship Open Challenge. And we are wondering who this was going to be. It was advertised as top independent wrestling star in the world. I was thinking what everybody else was thinking. I was thinking Warhorse. If you guys don't know who he is, I don't have a lot of experience of Warhorse, but I've heard some good things about him. So that's what I was expecting to challenge Cody for the TNT Championship tonight. But it ended up being Eddie Kingston. And he came out. He didn't even come out with entrance music. He came out. He had a microphone in hand. And he said, I don't know who you think you are, getting to talk about grit and being tough and out dogging and out chasing people and all that stuff. All your defenses for the TNT Championship have been little kids, such as Jungle Boy, Mark Quinn, Ricky Starks. They've all been little kids. You don't know anything about grit. I grew up on drugs and alcohol. I've been fighting my entire life, and I'm going to beat the shit out of you. And then he challenged Cody to a no disqualification match for the TNT Championship. Cody accepted, and Eddie Kingston hit Cody with the microphone. This was an outstanding promo from Eddie Kingston. This was awesome. And a great way to introduce Eddie Kingston to AEW. But we got this match, this no disqualification match between Cody and Eddie Kingston, which was absolutely great. Not a lot of weapons, but at some matches, you don't really need a lot of weapons. This one, there wasn't a lot of weapons, but Eddie Kingston looked great here. Cody looked pretty good. I believe there was a steel chair used around the match. Eddie using that to Cody. Eddie Kingston taunting Arn Anderson at ringside was nice. And then Eddie Kingston went under the ring and he got a bag. Folks, when someone brings out a black bag, you know what's in there. You got yourselves a bag of thumbtacks. Eddie Kingston poured out a bag of thumbtacks. Cody wanted to put Kingston through onto the thumbtacks, but then Eddie Kingston reversed and powerbombed Cody right onto the thumbtacks. Eddie Kingston is an absolute, not Eddie Kingston, Cody is an absolute beast for taking that spot right there, taking the power bomb through onto the thumbtacks by Eddie Kingston. But Cody survived. He put in the figure 4, and Cody retained the TNT Championship tonight against Eddie Kingston. Great match, great way to present Eddie Kingston. He cut a phenomenal promo. He had a great match with Cody for the TNT Championship. No DQ match. And Cody is an absolute beast for taking that powerbomb onto the thumbtacks by Eddie Kingston. Cody retains the TNT Championship. He's got another TNT Championship match next week. I'm expecting that it's going to be Matt Cardona. Now, people were saying it was going to be Matt Cardona this week, but I was like, I don't think they would do it if it's not, they wouldn't do it if it's not live. I do think it's going to be Matt Cardona next week, though. So keep your eyes out for that one. I do believe that next week on Dynamite, we will be seeing Matt Cardona, a.k.a. Zack Ryder, enter Cody in the TNT Championship Open Challenge. But Cody got the victory here tonight against Eddie Kingston. MJF versus Griff Garrison. Who? Who's Griff Garrison? Who the hell is Griff Garrison? I'm just kidding. That was a bit on BTE with Griff Garrison and the Dark Order. Who's Griff Garrison? Funny stuff, man. Absolutely funny stuff. But he was MJF's opponent tonight. He said, would you like to introduce yourself, Jungle Man? And Griff was like, my name is Griff Garrison. And MJF was mocking Griff Garrison. It was so funny. And then they got to the match. It was a nice little squash match. Nothing too much. MJF got on the microphone during the match, punching away to Griff Garrison. And MJF was like, say I'm undefeated. Griff Garrison smacked the microphone away. Then MJ was like, say I'm undefeated. And then he yelled, say I'm undefeated. And then Griff Garrison said, okay, you're undefeated. And then Griff rolled up MJF. MJF almost got pinned, but he kicked out at 2. Then MJF hit a new finisher where Griff Garrison was on the ropes. MJF, it kind of like spike pile drive to him with the opponent on the ropes. Really nice finisher. I like that for MJF. And MJF got the victory tonight over Griff Garrison in a good squash match. And MJF was TV gold in this. This was great. I loved it. We then saw The Machine, Brian Cage, and Taz come out. Taz was like, this past week, it's been a rough week for myself and Brian Cage. After Brian Cage came up short, and he lost the AEW World Championship match to Jon Moxley. The reason I threw in the towel was to prevent my client from, tearing his bicep for a second time and having to have surgery for 5 weeks. And I can't afford to have that with my client. So Brian Cage, then Taz said that Moxley had a brilliant game plan going after the bicep of Brian Cage, but he guarantees that that'll never happen again to Brian Cage, and Brian Cage will never be in a position like that ever again from Moxley. Then Darby Allin came out. Darby Allin was staring down Brian Cage, and then out of nowhere comes absolute Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks comes out. He attacks Darby Allin. He gives his finisher to Darby Allin. Then Jon Moxley comes out from the audience. He has a baseball bat, a barbed wire baseball bat, and Brian Cage and Ricky Starks run away from Jon Moxley. good stuff here. I'm really liking the fact that Ricky Starks is joining Brian Cage and Taz. I really do like that for him. I feel like if he was on his own, he might have a good promo. I haven't heard him speak yet, but the man has charisma for days. He is really good as a wrestler. The man can work. I think this move between Ricky Starks joining Brian Cage and Taz, it's going to be better for Ricky Starks, and it's going to elevate Ricky Starks in AEW. But good stuff here, and I'm already digging the feud between Darby Allin and Brian Cage. Falls Count Anywhere, man. Falls Count Anywhere. The Young Bucks versus the Butcher and the Blade. This match actually started in the kitchen area where the Butcher and the Blade were making a steak. And the Young Bucks came in and was like, let's go. This is Falls Count Anywhere. Anything goes. They were running out, and then the Butcher and the Blade stopped cooking their steak. They took off their capes, which is kind of funny. And the match started to go brawling. Once you know that these guys are starting a match in the kitchen of all places, shit's about to go down, and man, oh man, shit went down in this match tonight between the Butcher, the Blade, and the Young Bucks. The Butcher and the Blade, they were fighting in the kitchen with the Young Bucks. Matt Jackson got suplexed onto a gray table, it looks like to be. Nick got thrown on a wall. They were fighting in the complex area. They were fighting in a snack bar. The Blade got thrown into a plexiglass. Butcher got thrown. Both Young Bucks got thrown into the production truck. Nick Jackson got thrown into the production truck where it had his face on it. So that was pretty cool. And then Matt Jackson did a swanton running out the production truck to both the Butcher and the Blade out on the concrete. Then the Young Bucks put the Butcher, they threw him onto the production truck. Then the Blade was running away. The Young Bucks caught him. They gave him a double super kick, and the Blade was going up on the escalator. So he took a free trip up to the escalator. We got back from the ring. Young Bucks and the Butcher was back at the ring. Butcher was taking on the Young Bucks 2-on-1. The Blade come out. The Blade came back out. He used the steel chair to, I believe it was Matt Jackson. I don't know what's going on in there, but then the Butcher set up a table. Matt Jackson set up another table. The Blade went for a dive on the outside. He was supposed to go through a table, but he completely missed the table, and I believe his hand hit the table instead. The Butcher then speared or did a crossbody to Matt Jackson. Matt Jackson went through a table, and then later on, both Young Bucks gave the Blade a BTE trigger, super kicked the Blade onto a table, super kicked the Butcher onto a table. You got Matt Jackson on one side, Nick Jackson on the other side. They're both on the top of the walkways where the wrestlers come out. Matt Jackson does a flying elbow off the production crate, and Nick Jackson does a swanton off the production crate. They both covered the Butcher and the Blade, and the Young Bucks won this Falls Count Anywhere match. This was great. This was a great Falls Count Anywhere match. It was super fun to watch. Not boring whatsoever. It wasn't boring. Like, I believe the last Falls Count Anywhere match we saw was Baron Corbin and Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble. That match was incredibly boring, and I was bored to death out of that match. This match was a hell lot of fun. Excuse me. Young Bucks, you know, a lot of people criticize the Young Bucks for what they do, and you know what? That's fine. But when it comes to matches like this, the street fight with Santana and Ortiz back in December, the Stadium Stampede match they were in, this Falls Count Anywhere match, that they have with the Butcher and the Blade. The Young Bucks are not just great at regular tag team matches. When you put a wild stipulation in there, like a Falls Count Anywhere match, they're going to kill it. And they killed it tonight with the Butcher and the Blade. So kudos to them. They did a phenomenal job in this. And I can't wait to see what happens next. But Butcher and the Blade, you know, they've gotten a lot of TV time lately. And with this feud with them and the Lucha Brothers versus the Young Bucks and FTR, and the match they had with FTR, and the 8-man tag they had at Fyter Fest, and now this match tonight, the Butcher and the Blade have made the best out of the time they're getting on TV, and I'm absolutely loving it. And it's made me more of a fan of the Butcher and the Blade. So I hope to see them more on Dynamite, because I think at this run that they've had, they've hit a home run for sure. So that's that. The Young Bucks got the win over the Butcher and the Blade tonight. Diamante versus Ivelisse in their women's division singles match. Now, before I talk about this, I forgot to talk about something else. They did a commercial where there will be a 16-woman, 8-tag team tournament. So they're doing a women's tag team tournament. I don't know what it's for, but all I'm going to say is this. It should be fun. It should be good television. But if you're planning on having AEW Women's Tag Team Championships, you got to be careful. You have got to be careful. Because you've seen WWE try to do the Women's Tag Team Championship thing. They still have it. But are those championships important? Absolutely not. They are not relevant. They haven't been relevant. The only time those Women's Tag Team Championships have been relevant was when they were on the hands of Sasha Banks and Bayley. And right now, they're on the hands of Sasha Banks and Bayley. But when you had them on the hands of the Iconics and Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross and the Kabuki Warriors, have those championships meant anything? No. So all I'm saying for AEW is, if you're gonna have a women's tag team championship, you gotta not take the WWE route, and you gotta have tag teams, because WWE, they have no tag teams in the women's tag team division outside of Sasha, Bayley, Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross, and the Iconics. So that's all I wanted to say. But as for Diamante versus Ivelisse, I mean, I'm not going to spend too much time on it. This match was fine. It was fine for what it was. This was definitely the calm down match of the night, especially after that awesome Falls Count Anywhere match with the Young Bucks, Butcher, and the Blade. This was definitely the cool down match for the night. Diamante got the roll-up victory over Ivelisse after she shocked Ivelisse with the roll-up. And she was doing this, saying, like, I use my brain. And now she's got herself a match against Sheeta next week on Dynamite. Is she going to win? I don't know. We'll have to find out next week. But it should be good. This match was fine. And it seems like, I don't know about Ivelisse. I don't know if AEW has signed Ivelisse yet. I hope they do. But it seems like AEW has signed Diamante. And that's really good because they need depth in the women's division. You got Sheeta, Nyla Rose, Big Swole, Penelope Ford, Britt Baker's coming back. You know she'll be back before All Out. You got Abaddon, Anna Jay, Brandy, Allie, and now you got Diamante. And if they sign Ivelisse, that's 11. So that's really good, and I'm glad to see that Diamante is all in on All Elite Wrestling. That is amazing. Hangman Page versus 5. Okay. The match was good. It was another fine match. You know, we all knew Hangman was going to win this match, but this was more about the ending and what happened after this match. So I'm just going to cut it there. We all know Hangman Page won the match. I'm not going to go over detail about the match. Hangman won with the buckshot lariat against 5, and that's fine. But then, during the match, the Dark Order came out. Then at the end of the match, Hangman was staring down with the Dark Order. Mr. Brody Lee and Colt Cabana came down. Colt Cabana standing with the Dark Order. Brody Lee came out, got on the microphone. He said, "Congratulations on your victory, Hangman Page. You know, shit, what did he say? He said, I was very impressed by you lately and your tag team title defenses and your singles match tonight. But what I'm not impressed by is the lack of friends you have. And you don't need to have a lack of friends anymore, because we'll have you back. You won't be out here by yourself in singles matches anymore. You won't be drinking at the bar by yourself anymore, because the Dark Order will be there for you, and we will guide you to success." So Hangman got on the microphone, and he said, "Thanks for the offer, but, you know, I don't think I'm ready to join a cult yet." And he said, "Be careful what you wish for." He got off the microphone. Mr. Brody Lee and Colt Cabana went to the back. The Dark Order came into the ring, and the beatdown was on. It was a 5-on-1 attack. Grayson and Evil Uno were holding down Hangman Page. 5. John Silver and Alex Reynolds were beating up Hangman Page. Out came FTR with a big cooler. They smashed it over, I believe it was Evil Uno. I'm not too sure. But they smashed the cooler over one of the Dark Order members. And then they retreated, they ran away. And then Kenny came out. So, what the story was here was FTR came out to save Adam Page first, more than his tag team partner did. FTR was out there before Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega was just a little bit too late to the party there. And Hangman tonight, he was more cool and calm with FTR, and he enjoyed FTR saving him more than Kenny Omega ever did. So the story they're telling right now with FTR, Omega and Page, and the Young Bucks has been outstanding. And I'm loving every second of this. And I don't know where it goes at All Out, but this is really interesting. And like I said, I love every second of this feud. Talk about this for a second. Let's talk about this for a second. Disco Inferno came out this past week, and he said, "Kenny Omega has been a failure on American television. Number one, who the hell is Disco Inferno? Okay, who the hell is Disco Inferno? Has he ever had anything good in WCW? No. And plus, Kenny Omega has had amazing matches. We've seen it. We've seen it happen. Kenny Omega is one half of the AEW Tag Team Champions with Adam Page, a team that has ran through literally the entire tag team division, and they're in the best story in the entire company right now. So I don't think Kenny Omega's doing bad on American television, pal. He's doing fine. Don't worry about him. He'll do more than you ever did in your career in WCW. I'm just saying. Then we got a couple match announcements for next week's Dynamite, and boy oh boy, I wouldn't say going into this week it was a stacked show, but man, next week's a stacked show. As AEW announced tonight, next week's show is going to be live on TNT, and we'll have the Dark Order, Evil Uno, and Stu Grayson, the #1 contenders, challenging Kenny Omega and Adam Hangman Page for the AEW Tag Team Championships. That's an interesting one. I honestly don't know who's walking out as Tag Team Champions. It's probably going to be Omega and Page, but you can make a good case for the Dark Order walking out as Tag Team Champions, in my opinion. But Who do I see walking out of that match victorious next week? I'm going Omega and Page. So we got that match next week for the tag titles. We got Hikaru Shida versus DYNAMITE, a non-title match. Brian Cage and Ricky Starks versus Jon Moxley and Darby Allin in a tornado tag. So that should be great as well. Cody TNT Championship Open Challenge. And as we got at the end of the night, we got a big 10-man tag set up for next week. And I'll talk about it after the main event, which was the Inner Circle's Chris Jericho and Jake Hager versus Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus. This was a really good tag team match at the end of the show. Luchasaurus and Jake Hager had a really good face-off tonight. They had great chemistry together. If they had a singles match down the line on Dynamite, take my money, man. Take my money. Luchasaurus and Jake Hager would be an outstanding match in my opinion. I would pay to see that match. But we had some good exchanges from basically everybody in this match. Jericho and Luchasaurus had very good exchanges. Luchasaurus came in as the hot man in this match, getting the hot tags. Jericho got in an argument with Aubrey Edwards. A funny argument as well. They've getting him good arguments lately. But then Jake Hager, like I said, the exchange with Luchasaurus. Jake Hager, a lot of people give criticism to Jake Hager. I've said it on Dynamite reviews before. I said it on my Fyter Fest review with Sami Kaloff. Shout out to him. Jake Hager is really good at what he does. A lot of people don't give him credit. They shit on him because of the one match he had with Jon Moxley, but we're way past that, and you got to move on from that, man. The man had one bad match, so you don't got to criticize him for the rest of his life. So, but at the end, Serpentico. If you guys watch AEW Dark, there's a character named Serpentico. He came out. He hit Luchasaurus with some bat or something like that. Jericho gave him a code breaker, and the Inner Circle won against Jurassic Express. Then the Inner Circle beat down the Jurassic Express. Serpentico went to the top rope, hit a shooting star press. We all know who it was after we saw this. This was none other than Sammy Guevara making his return to the Inner Circle. Yes! Sammy Guevara is back, baby, and the Inner Circle feels right with Sammy Guevara. The Inner Circle honestly was feeling dead without Guevara there. Now that he's back, I'm so happy, man. I couldn't be any happier that Sammy Guevara is back with the Inner Circle. And the Best Friends in Orange Cassidy came out to chase the Inner Circle away. And we get next week, man, we got a 10-man tag with the Best Friends in Orange Cassidy teaming with Jurassic Express to face off against the Inner Circle. That match is going to be great. That's going to be a great 10-man tag for next week's Dynamite. And that's all I got for you guys tonight on this AEW Dynamite review. Like I said, this was an awesome show tonight. AEW nearly nailed everything right tonight. Every match was good. It was enjoyable. And this was an awesome Dynamite show tonight. I couldn't be any happier with myself. I had such a fun 2 hours tonight. But I'm getting out of here. I got to work tomorrow. I got a morning shift tomorrow, so I got to get some sleep after I upload this. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you have not already, subscribe right here on the Big Fight Field channel. So we are on the road to 200 subscribers here on the channel. Comment down below what you thought of this week's episode of AEW Dynamite. Like this video if you enjoyed my AEW review tonight. Follow me on Twitter at Conlon_Joseph. We're almost at 1,100 followers on Twitter. So get that to 1,100 followers. I believe we're like 27 followers away. So that's that. And I'm getting out of here. I will be back for your NXT review tomorrow right here on the Big Fight Field channel. I get done work around 1 o'clock. I'll come home. I'll watch NXT. And it will probably be up by 5 o'clock tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. Have a good night. Stay safe, guys.